Lita Gore, who covers politics for the Alabama Media Group, joining us now from Birmingham. Nice to see you as always. Thank you. Put up the front page now of the Birmingham News from today. Will black voters turn out December 12th is the front page. Above that is the picture of Auburn's loss last night and news today that the Alabama Crimson Tide is going to the college football playoffs. It could sound trite to ask this, but what are Alabamans talking about, the Senate race or football?
Well, roll Tide, first of all, so let's get that out of the way. But I think they are talking about the Senate race. It's a huge deal here. But football did take its place yesterday, but I think we're kind of gearing back. So people are definitely talking about this Senate race. And I thought the interesting thing in that poll is the number or the percentage that says they don't know about these allegations. Because you have to remember, these allegations are from different women. They cover different topics. And so there's some people who say, well, I question this one, but I believe this one. So there's a lot of gray area when it comes to those allegations for a lot of people. There's a lot of gray area. Your newspaper doesn't seem to believe it is after the front page editorial last week or 2 weeks ago, I believe. So are Republicans, who clearly there's a lot of them who say they're going to vote for Roy Moore, do they not believe the allegations and they say it's fake news, or do they just not care even if they're true? Well, there is a definite segment that say fake news. We've heard that beat into the ground. But there is also, there is not a choice, or people do not see there is a choice. When the Republican Party in the state said we're going to back Moore, that removed the potential for a strong write-in candidate. There are a few people that have launched some write-in candidacies, but there's not a strong candidate. Yeah. So what's happened is, the choice is, are they going to vote for Moore, who is a flawed candidate? He was a flawed candidate before these allegations ever came out. Or are you going to have one of the most Republican states in the country send a Democrat to Congress? And that is the crux to this choice. You know, pollsters explained missing the 2016 election and missing the groundswell support for President Trump with what they call response bias, essentially people telling the pollster what they think the pollster wants to hear rather than what they really believe. As we look at the polls today, do you feel that's going on as well here? I think it is somewhat. I think I hear a lot from Doug Jones supporters. I hear a lot from Roy Moore supporters, the stronger side on both ends. What I don't hear about is the middle of the road people who may not know and who may make their mind up at the beginning. I know I personally have received more calls for this runoff race than I ever did for this election that I did in the runoff race. And I think they're trying to feel the mood of people. Well, speaking about calls, this is a call that is going out for an event that Brian Yennis talked about. Take a listen.
Hi, this is Laura Trump, calling on behalf of my father-in-law, President Donald Trump. I'm incredibly excited to invite you to an event in your area. The special rally event featuring President Donald Trump will take place on Friday, December 8th at the Pensacola Bay Center.
Pensacola Bay Center is not that far away from Mobile, Alabama. Hard to imagine that President Trump's just heading down to Pensacola because he wants to visit the Naval Air Station there. How big of an influence do you think this is going to have right before the election? Well, it's interesting because if you remember back during the campaign season, President Trump credited his Mobile rally for sort of one of his first major events. So he likes that part of the country. I don't know how much of a role that's going to play because, interestingly enough, you know, Moore has separated himself from Trump, and Trump has tried to separate himself from Moore while still saying vote Republican but never mentioning Roy Moore's name. So it's an interesting dynamic. It's like they're dancing around each other to try to get a Republican in the Senate, but maybe not that particular Republican. We've heard so many Republicans try to sort of parse their words on this. Mitch McConnell, who had said that he thought that Roy Moore was unfit essentially to be in the Senate, now says we're going to let Alabamans decide. And certainly here in Washington, it's something that everyone likes to talk about. And the comedians on late night are having a field day with it. Roy Moore tweeted out this during the dust-up with Jimmy Kimmel. Despite D.C. and Hollywood elites' bigotry towards Southerners, Jimmy will save a seat on the front pew for you. Kimmel responding, okay, Roy, but I'm leaving my daughters at home. P.S. Wear that cute little leather vest. It did wonders for Kimmel on Twitter and his YouTube account. How does it play in Alabama, though? Well, the interesting part about all this is Moore is not, he's not getting out and addressing big crowds.
He is not, when you go cover a Moore rally, there are limitations. There were even limitations this week of if you're going to shoot a picture, you can only shoot a picture up close of his face. We don't want anything else in the picture. It's a very strange set of rules for a candidate. And so when you get somebody like Jimmy Kimmel, the only thing that Moore can do, it kind of plays into Moore's hands. Because what he's doing is he's saying, there's the Hollywood elite, they're against me, so therefore I must be the right candidate.
Yeah. There was either a headline or your reporting that said the strange Senate race is getting stranger. We've got 10 days left. What to watch for?
Well, will Moore speak more than just a tiny congregation? Will he actually, he will not take questions from reporters. Would he actually take questions from reporters? It's strange to have a Senate candidate 10 days outside the election not answering questions.
Yeah, you could easily ask, why would he? He's up, at least in the current poll, he's tied. Why would he? If you're one of his advisors, why do you put him out there? All right, Lita, great talking to you. I think we're going to book you right now for next weekend.
That sounds good.
All right, we'll see you then, ma'am. Thank you.